Hi, I'm Lauren,
And I'm Lisa.
and this is Flat Call Friday.
So today we're going to talk to you about the different stages of feed and what to give when. And we're also going to talk about some treats, do's, and don'ts. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So we're going to start with chick feed. Most people are getting their chicks in now. A couple of things about chick feed. Our Cedar Crest chick starter is a 22% protein. And I actually will do 22% from hatch up to 16 weeks.
It's just beautiful.
It is beautiful. Now, our feed is whole grain, corn, roasted soybean. So we basically take the layer and pulverize it, add some protein, but we also add herbs, dry apple cider vinegar, and brewer's yeast. So if you're a homesteader, there's lots of great recipes where you can make your own feed, but really, really important to start your chicks on a high protein. And if you can add the herbs, even if you buy something at the store, add the apple cider vinegar if you can get it dry, and the brewer's yeast, which is so, so important for skeletal development, brain development, digestion. So just lots of good things with the herbs, and I think we have a list somewhere about good herbs, and if not, we'll get you one.
We did a whole newsletter
Yes,
on feed,
right.
so and that's on our website. But we give grit also.
Yeah.
We put it out right away. Some people wait 2 weeks, but I mean, if they're out,
there's no reason not to put grit out. It has to be appropriately sized, so chick grit for your chicks. And again, if they need it, they'll use it and pick at it.
Yeah, and then they know what it is right from the get-go too. So
right, and super important for just keeping their crop moving. The second stage would be at the layer stage, the layer feed. Again, our Cedar Crest Farm layer is an 18%. I like using a higher protein, especially for the heritage birds. They're a slower growing bird. And can they see? Can you see? So our feed is a very whole grain. We use roasted soybean, oats, corn, Milo.
oh my gosh, and it smells so good.
It smells good, and you can eat it.
And we do. We chew on it. It's like granola. It's fantastic.
And it smells like granola with the molasses.
Yeah.
Again, because it's a whole grain feed, even if it weren't a whole grain feed, must have grit available at all times, appropriately sized. So for a layer, an appropriately sized grit. For a chick, an appropriately sized grit.
If you do wait 2 weeks or however long to give your chicks grit, do not give them treats until they're on that. They need that to grind it down.
Yep.
They need it.
So
it's very important.
Just have it in there from day one. There's no reason not to. There's nothing that would be detrimental to them if they did pick at the grit.
No.
So that's our starter, our layer. Once they start laying, you can offer things like
scratch.
What the heck is that? Would be a scratch grain. Scratch grains. So again, our scratch grains are a really nice whole grain, not a lot of protein, just something for them to visually pick at. And generally, we only give it in the winter when it's cold. It helps them metabolize and stay warm throughout the night.
A lot of times, what I'll do with our scratch is I'll boil water and I'll cook it down, and it almost is like an oatmeal, and it just opens it all up, and they absolutely love it. My Polish, their crests are a disgusting mess, and then I have to wash them. So,
but even with the layer, and well, not so much the chick starter, but with the layer on a cold winter's morning, it's kind of a song, isn't it?
Cold winter's morning.
You could add some warm buttermilk, you could add some warm water, and it really is like an oatmeal. So lots of little tricks you can do with whole grain. So if you can get a whole grain feed, that's always going to be the way to go. Just the old-fashioned whole grain way to go.
Yeah.
So Lauren's going to talk about some do's and don'ts with treats.
Yeah. Well, obviously they love corn in any way, shape, or form. I always boil corn on the cob for them.
You boil it?
I do.
I give it raw.
I boil it.
Of
It
course you boil
tastes
it.
better and sweeter. Grapes, blueberries, cantaloupe, watermelon. Unfortunately, the girls ate all the watermelon today. Strawberries. Mine don't really care for strawberries too much.
I don't either.
No,
Not so much.
I have them anyways. My son likes them.
Mealworms.
Mealworms.
Obviously.
Everybody knows about meal. Yes.
And the mealworms are super high in protein.
Like
When-
a Lay's potato chip.
Yeah, well,
Once
a
you
Lay's
pop, you
potato chip,
can't stop.
right? But with good, it's a good Lay's potato chip. And both of us offer, if our hens are sick or
Mm-hmm.
Lauren's dealing with a crop issue right now, mealworms a really good source of protein
Yeah.
and high in calories.
Easy to digest. And I'll sprinkle them on water when they're having crop issues or something, because then it prompts them to drink. And what else? Things you shouldn't give.
Things you shouldn't give.
Well,
Stems. Anything with the stems. Spinach, parsley, kale, any leafy green that has a stem, chop the stems off because they cannot process the stringiness, like celery, things of that sort.
Yeah.
When a chicken is out pasture eating grass, she's going to pick at the grass. She's not going to eat a whole blade
Although
of
I
grass.
have chased my chickens around for
Oh, yeah,
reasons
and
like
tackle
that
them.
with big grass blades or straw sticking out, and you tackle them and you're
Right.
pulling it out.
And it's coming out because they
or
have,
a root. I've done a root.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, yes.
that's not good.
No.
So anything with a stringy stem, chop off the stem, give them the rest.
Yeah.
What else?
Onions.
Onions, right?
No.
No. Pits, rice,
Yeah.
beans that aren't cooked. No. But there's a whole list of do's and don'ts. We don't have one, but we can get one.
I mean, you just Google it, and you kind of know what they should or shouldn't have. Most people just throw buckets of their leftovers out there.
Right.
That's
Well, and the other thing about chickens is they have their taste buds. They can taste. They can't taste sweet, but they can taste salt. And most poisonous plants will have a real salty taste to them. So chickens instinctually will avoid salty plants and poisonous plants. So even if you throw them something and they're not supposed to have it, they sort of instinctually know not to eat it.
But the more you try to take something from them,
The more they'll want it,
the more they're going to take it.
for sure.
There has been many times where there was styrofoam or a paint chip or something they just shouldn't have, and then when you start chasing them, then it's like they have the best thing in the whole world. So kind of just watch them for a minute before you start going after them to take it.
Right.
Otherwise, they're going to swallow it as fast as they can. But they're pretty hardy. You know, they really are hardy.
They are hardy, right? But we want to avoid
Yeah.
giving them anything bad that could be potentially harmful, and making sure you're starting them off on the right track with the best feed, best starter, best layer, and as a result, you will have
Better egg production.
better egg production and gorgeous egg production. So
Healthy chickens, nice feathers. I mean, everything. You benefit from everything from giving them a good, healthy diet.
yes.
Um,
And just a little side note, it takes 4 pounds of feed for a chicken to lay a dozen eggs.
holy smokes.
I know, that's a lot of feed. So
That is a lot of feed.
we have to make sure we're feeding them properly.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
No.
No. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you for joining us for Flock Call Friday.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.